Okay, hold on. We need to throw this. Jesus. What the?
Mr. Donahue, on December 27th, you had a 90-minute conversation with the president where he raised false claim after false claim with you and Mr. Rosen.
Oh, wait.
How did
This
you
was
respond to what?
Wait, did he say this on the 2nd? No way, right? This was before that. Oh, Jesus.
Mr. Donahue, on December 27th.
Oh, December 27th. Okay, makes sense. More timeline. Okay.
You had a 90-minute conversation with the president where he raised false claim after false claim with you and Mr. Rosen. How did you respond to what you called a, quote, stream of allegations?
The December 27th conversation was, in my mind, an escalation of the earlier conversations. As the former acting AG indicated, there were a lot of communications that preceded that. As we got later in the month of December, the president's entreaties became more urgent. He became more adamant that we weren't doing our job. We need to step up and do our job. And he had this arsenal of allegations that he
it was all we've read the
rely on. And so I felt in that conversation that
reading anytime I can play a video of something is really big. Wait, do I have this? Did I write this down in my thing? Oh, yes. As much as possible, is shown in original video audio form. Otherwise, video audio of testimony. Then video audio. Reading of deposition testimony. Then media reports.
it was incumbent on me to make it very clear to the president what our investigations had revealed, and that we had concluded, based on actual investigations, actual witness interviews, actual reviews of documents, that these allegations simply had no merit. And I wanted to try to cut through the noise, because it was clear to us that there were a lot of people whispering in his ear, feeding him these conspiracy theories and allegations. And I felt that being very blunt in that conversation might help make it clear to the president that these allegations were simply not true. And so as he went through them in what for me was a 90-minute conversation or so, and what for the former acting AG was a 2-hour conversation, as the president went through them, I went piece by piece to say, no, that's false, that is not true, and to correct him really in a serial fashion as he moved from one theory to another.
Can you give me an example of one or two of those theories?
So one that was very clear at that point was the Antrim County, the ASOG report that I mentioned earlier. The Allied Security Operations Group released this report that said 68% error rate. There was, in fact, in Antrim County, a hand recount. Had nothing to do with the department. The department did not request that. That was pursuant to litigation brought by other parties. But there was a hand recount. So they were able to compare the hand recount to what the machines had reported. And for the ballots that were actually counted by machine,
I think they were off by like 2. The hand recount was like
more than 15,000. There was one error.
Oh, one, yeah.
And I did a quick calculation and came up with 0.0063% error rate, which is well within tolerance. And so I made it very clear to the president.
Do you think he's mega autistic, or do you think that was supposed to sound as passive aggressive as it did?
And so I made it very clear to the president, because he was so fixated on the ASOG report in the December 15th conversation, that in fact our investigation revealed that the error rate was 0.0063%. So that, Mr. President's example of what people are telling you that is not true, and that you cannot and should not be relying on. So that was one very explicit one, and I think you see that reflected in my notes. We went through a series of others.
Are they under oath in all these J6 committee hearings? I believe so, yes. I know they're under oath for their depositions, and they're repeating in these hearings what they've said in their depositions. But I would imagine any hearing before Congress, they probably swear under oath as well. They must.
A truck driver who claimed to have moved an entire tractor-trailer of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. That was also incorrect.
Oh, we've watched and read about on this guy, yeah. The USPS actually went and they tracked the trucks, and the truck that this guy said he was driving, he wasn't even, that trailer, he didn't even have it that day. Like,
we did an investigation with the FBI, interviewed witnesses at the front end and the back end of that trailer's transit from New York to Pennsylvania. We looked at loading manifests. We interviewed witnesses, including, of course, the driver, and we knew it wasn't true. Whether the driver believed it or not was never clear to me, but it was just not true. So that was another one that I tried to educate the president on. There were a series of others, mostly in swing states, of course. He wanted to talk a great deal about Georgia, the State Farm Arena video, which he believed, for various reasons, was...
That was the Ruby Freeman thing, the big, dumb, yeah.
As he said it, fraud staring you right in the face.
Were any of the allegations he brought up found credible? Did you find any of them credible?
No.
So during this conversation, did you take handwritten notes directly quoting the president?
I did, and to make it clear, Attorney General Rosen called me on my government cell phone, said he'd been on the phone with the president for some time. The president had a lot of these allegations. I was better versed in what the department had done just because I had closer contact with the investigations, and the AG asked me to get on the call. Of course, I agreed. And I began taking notes only because at the outset the president made an allegation I had not heard. I had heard many of these things. I knew they were investigated. But when the president, at least when I came to the conversation, when he began speaking, he brought up an allegation I was completely unaware of. And of course that concerned us. So I simply reached out and grabbed a notepad off my wife's nightstand and a pen, and I started jotting it down. That had to do with an allegation that more than 200,000 votes were certified in the state of
Pennsylvania.
Not actually cast.
Oh, the one where they looked at the website and they saw that it was a different number than what had been reported on TV, and they were like, oh, there must be a...
Sometimes the president would say it was 205, sometimes he would say it was 250, but I'd not heard this before, and I want to get the allegation down clearly so that we can look into it if appropriate, and that's why I started taking those notes, and then as the conversation continued, I just continued to take the notes.
And I'm pretty sure Trump repeats that one in his speech as well. That might be a good through line. I think he says 250 at this rally, but he's right. Sometimes he says 250, sometimes he says 205. Yeah, there were over 205,000 more ballots counted in Pennsylvania. Think of this, right?
Let's take a look at the notes, if we could right now. As we can see on the screen, you actually quote President Trump asking, where's DOJ? Just like we heard him say in his first television interview. How did you respond to that?
So both the acting AG and I tried to explain to the president on this occasion and on several other occasions that the Justice Department has a very important, very specific, but very limited role in these elections. States run their elections.
Have you seen the Oval Office meeting where John Eastman and White House counsel are fighting, and Eastman admits his legal theory would lose to the SCOTUS 9-0? Eastman theory 9-0. I might have read this. What is he admitting that on? What do I have of that? Oh, Jacob is testifying here. Oh, we got even in a YouTube short.
Did Dr. Eastman ever tell you what he thought the U.S. Supreme Court would do if it had to decide this issue?
Yes. We had an extended discussion, an hour and a half to 2 hours on January 5th. And when I pressed him on the point, I said, John, if the vice president did what you were asking him to do, we would lose 9-0 in the Supreme Court, wouldn't we? And he initially started, well, I think maybe we would lose only 7-2. And after some further discussion, acknowledged, well, yeah, you're right, we would lose 9-0.
Did Dr. Eastman ever tell you?
Let's just add this down here.
We are not quality control for the states. We are obviously interested in and have a mission that relates to criminal conduct in relation to federal elections. We also have related civil rights responsibilities, so we do have an important role. But the bottom line was if a state ran their election in such a way that it was defective, that is to the state or Congress to correct. It is not for the Justice Department to step in. And I certainly understood the president as a layman, not understanding why the Justice Department didn't have at least a civil...
This has to be passive-aggressive, right? I can understand the president of the United States, you know, the guy, my boss, as a layman who has no fucking idea what we actually do down here. That has to be passive-aggressive, right?
State or Congress to correct. It is not for the Justice Department to step in. And I certainly understood the president as a layman, not understanding why the Justice Department didn't have at least a civil role to step in and bring suit on behalf of the American people. We tried to explain that to him. The American people do not constitute the client for the United States Justice Department. The one and only client of the United States Justice Department
is the federal government, right? The president is the federal government. The only client should be the federal government.
Is the United States government.
Yeah.
And the United States government does not have standing, as we were repeatedly told by our internal teams, OLC led by Steve Engel, as well as the Office of the Solicitor General, researched it and gave us thorough, clear opinions that we simply did not have standing. We tried to explain that to the president on numerous occasions.
Let's take a look at another one of your notes. You also noted that Mr. Rosen said to Mr. Trump, quote, DOJ can't and won't snap its fingers and change the outcome of the election. How did the president respond to that, sir?
He responded very quickly and said, essentially, that's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm just asking you to do is just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman.
This is that quote is really big. I need him saying it too. Oh, and this isn't hearsay. Wait, this isn't hearsay. The president said this to him. So this is direct witness testimony, right? He didn't say this to...
Look at another one of your notes. You also noted that Mr. Rosen said to Mr. Trump, quote, DOJ can't and won't snap its fingers and change the outcome of the election. How did the president respond to that, sir?
They're all three on this call. So Rosen should also testify as well to this, right? There must be testimony of him saying the same thing.
He responded very quickly and said, essentially, that's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm just asking you to do is just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman.
So let's now put up the notes where you quote the president. As you're speaking to that, he said, the president said, just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. So, Mr. Donahue, that's a direct quote from President Trump, correct?
That's an exact quote from the president, yes.
The next note shows that even that the president kept pressing. Even though he'd been told that there was no evidence of fraud, the president keeps saying that the department was, quote, obligated to tell people that this was an illegal, corrupt election.
That's also an exact quote from the president, yes.
Let me just be clear. Did the department find any evidence to conclude that there was anything illegal or corrupt about the 2020 election?
There were isolated instances of fraud. None of them came close to calling into question the outcome of the election in any individual state.
And how would you describe the president's demeanor during that call?
He was more agitated than he was on December 15th. The president, throughout all of these meetings and telephone conversations, was adamant that he had won and that we were not doing our job. But it did escalate over time until ultimately the meeting on January 3rd, which was...
That is hearsay. What someone else said, it would fall under an exception of court probably. There's no against... Wait, if it was a criminal case against Donald Trump, is it hearsay if you testify to what the accused did? Is that hearsay? I don't think so. No. Let's say I tell my friend I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then now we go to court, obviously, and I'm getting accused of making death threats or whatever. I don't know if it's a criminal charge, and then somebody says I heard him say he said that night he said he was gonna kill me. Is that hearsay? Would that be an exception to hearsay? I thought hearsay had to be like an uninvolved party or I don't think it. Not what they have said directly to you. Which one day we're going to read all the rules of civil procedure when we do our law course thing or whatever. Maybe it would be. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a hearsay exception.
The most extreme of the meetings and conversations.
So I want to make sure we don't gloss.
Oh, party opponent exception. You can say what the party opponent said. Oh, okay. So it would be a hearsay thing, but there would be an obvious exception to it. That probably makes sense. Sure. Okay.
This over. Just say it was corrupt and leave the rest to us. The president wanted the top just.
Roger Stone's pardon did not cover anything relating to January 6th. Stone even requested pardon for January 6th. He pled the 5th when deposed by the House Select Committee. That's really interesting. Now I'm wondering is that too conspiratorial? I feel like I'm well within bounds to have that conspiracy, given everything else. That Donald Trump didn't grant pardon to anybody that could implicate him criminally. It would make sense, too, for why some people weren't pardoned, so many other people were. Well, this is an actual conspiracy, true. This is a conspiracy in the actual sense, for sure, yes. And that there was a secret plot by multiple people. But you say secret, it's so out in the open in so many different ways. But
Justice Department officials to declare that the election was corrupt, even though, as he knew, there was absolutely no evidence.
This video is the part the Supreme Court said cannot be questioned anymore, right? Correct. Correct.
Evidence to support that statement. The president didn't care about actually investigating.
Remember, the FBI found a pardon for Stone in Trump's safe in the Mar-a-Lago search. Wait, was that true? Wait, Trump, pardon, Roger Stone, Mar-a-Lago.
As far as we can tell, this is the first time a former president has been
it's got the spooky music too.
Search warrant executed by the FBI.
Can you explain that pardon thing? Why wouldn't pardoning Stone help him? Okay, fuck. Well, I feel like there's at least one fucking criminal lawyer, okay, in YouTube chat. So fuck you. All right. Okay. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong about anything. Okay. So sometimes people say that so there's a weird thing about pleading the fifth, okay? You in the United States of America, under our glorious Constitution, there's one amendment, I forget which one it is. There's an amendment that protects you from self-incrimination, okay? And the rationale is solid. If you could incriminate yourself, well, we can take any person, put him in a torture cell, and eventually get him to, confess to his crimes, right? This is obviously a bad way to go about criminal justice system. Well, I wouldn't say that it's bad, but it could lead to bad outcomes where you are essentially incentivized on the side of the state to torture somebody until they confess, right? Now, we do the other way where we say, actually, you never have to incriminate yourself. Now, the bad side of that is that some guilty people might walk free, but this falls down on helping, basically, the accused. It's less power to the state, more power to the people by placing a higher burden on the state. The Fifth Amendment is only technically is only supposed to be to protect yourself from incrimination, from self-incrimination. You're not supposed to plead the Fifth. Let's say FBI or let's say a police investigator is saying something to me like, hey, your mom when she baked chocolate chip cookies, did she use too much butter? I'm not supposed to plead the fifth if I don't think that it could in any reasonable way incriminate me. I'm not supposed to. Now, in practice, you kind of can always plead the fifth, and it doesn't matter. You can always plead the fifth because, I mean, who's to say what will or won't? I don't know if you can ever get in trouble if they can prove that you pled the fifth when there's no self-incrimination, maybe. But you're only supposed to plead the fifth when you can't incriminate yourself, right? Or when you could incriminate yourself, sorry. So if it was the case that you were going to, let's say that I'm working on a criminal conspiracy with a friend, okay? And now, me and my friend go to court, we've agreed we're not going to rat on each other, we're good, we'll do this, they question us, and I plead the fifth, fuck you, I'm not putting myself on the stand, fuck you, right? You're good. But let's say that I get a pardon for my crimes, right? I'm pardoned, meaning in the United States, when you get a pardon, you said, okay, I'm guilty, yes, I've accepted and received my pardon though, so I've been forgiven, blah, 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 then you move on. If you're brought in as a witness or in a deposition to now testify against your partner, I don't think that you can plead the fifth anymore because you can never self-incriminate because you've already been pardoned for that crime. So if it is the case that Donald Trump pardoned Roger Stone for some things earlier on, but didn't pardon him for anything in conjunction with Donald Trump, if Stone is ever brought in to answer questions about Donald Trump, like he was in the January 6th Commission, Stone could just say, well, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I'm not going to answer anything, which he did, I think, like 50 some times. But if Roger Stone would have gotten pardoned by Donald Trump for everything in conjunction with this, then Roger Stone shouldn't be able to or can't reasonably say he pleads the fifth because, well, how could you possibly self-incriminate? You're already pardoned for this particular thing. If that's how these are two disconnected pieces, pardoning somebody and pleading the fifth, I don't have any legal background, so I don't know how these things actually connect. But in the conspiratorial sense that I'm imagining, that would be how those two things would connect. I guess we just Google it. Can someone who is pardoned still plead the fifth? Oh, Business Insider. Trump's kids won't lose their Fifth Amendment rights and be forced to testify against him if they're pardoned, experts say. Okay, so this is going to be a legal expert, okay, disagreeing with me. Okay, so hold on. Something that's really important, okay? So I think I understand what pardons are, and I think I understand what pleading the fifth means, okay? So this seems like you can just take these two things like, oh, well, then this must interact with this in this way, okay? This is why having the actual background and actual education is important, okay? This is why I wouldn't say, oh, my definition of insurrection would obviously carry over to a state. I can't think of any possible exceptions because who the fuck knows? There could be exceptions. Very, very rarely, if I'm reading into a field, I will read a thing and quote a thing and I'll have it particular to that thing, but it becomes very scary when you try to cross your knowledge over from oh, well, I learned this concept and this, so they must come together this way. I don't know if that's actually true or not, okay? So let's see what this guy says. Okay. President Donald Trump's pardons probably won't come back to bite him. Some legal observers, including Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney and fixer, have suggested that Trump's pardons may backfire. The theory goes like this. If Trump pardons people, they'll no longer have the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and will be forced to testify in cases that could implicate Trump. This could be particularly dangerous for cases close to Trump, whether it's Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner meeting with a Russian lawyer to seek dirt on Hillary Clinton ahead of the 2016 election, or accusations that Ivanka Trump misused inauguration funds or helped her father with fake consulting fee tax write-offs. Okay. There's either going to be a really interesting legal theory for why this wouldn't work, or his answer is going to be really boring, and he's going to say, well, they could think that there are other crimes that they could be implicated in if they testify, so they can still plead the fifth, because just because they were pardoned for one thing doesn't mean there isn't other criminal activity that they could self-implicate in. Hopefully it's some crazy, wacky, interesting legal theory and not the second part, but let's see. But experts in criminal law say the president probably doesn't have much to worry about. Anyone who says that as a blanket proposition, anyone pardoned by Trump cannot invoke the Fifth Amendment privilege, is just misguided. That's misguided or misplaced. Randy Zellin, a criminal defense lawyer at Wilk Auslander and an adjunct professor at Cornell Law School, told Insider it is completely oversimplifying, missing the issue. Cohen, who is disbarred in New York after pleading guilty to charges of tax evasion and campaign finance violations, said Trump's pardons of Michael Flynn and Roger Stone, prosecutors forced that produces a very significant problem for Donald Trump. So all these people, okay, what are you saying? Okay. Wait, so what's the argument against this? Since a pardon from the president doesn't cover state crimes, anyone pardoned by Trump, whether it's Flynn, Stone, or potentially Trump's children, could invoke the Fifth Amendment and say they want to avoid state. Oh, fuck. Okay, well, that is it then. If I were defending one of these people, I would say, well, the pardon doesn't protect me from state prosecution, so I'm going to assert my Fifth Amendment for that reason. well, no, fuck. I was going to say the workaround for this could be that you would only charge the president with federal crimes so that they couldn't invoke any. But I mean, you could still be implicated at breaking state level. Well, but if you talk to a federal investigator, could they refer you to a state for? I don't actually know how any of that works. I'm not sure. There was a case about this. We don't have time to read all this shit. In the 1833 case, U.S. v. Wilson, Chief Justice. Well, almost a century later, court confirmed that a pardon may be refused. Interesting. Okay. All right. We don't care about this. None of this matters. Wait, what do they find in that? No, we don't even care about that. Seized from Mar-a-Lago. What do you know about the pardon document? Do we
Federal
even
agents were
care about
searching
this?
Mar-a-Lago, President Trump's home in South Florida. They were taking out documents and other information pursuant to a search warrant. Trump himself is the one that confirmed this, and he said that federal agents raided my home and that there was an occupying army of FBI agents and that they broke into his safe and stole documents. This would have had to be approved at the highest levels of the FBI and the Justice Department, given that it's a former president. As far as we can tell from sources that we've talked to, this is part of an investigation, a criminal investigation by the FBI into the unauthorized removal and handling of potentially classified information. Trump, and this has been widely reported, removed, I think, at least 15 bodies of law.
Okay, we don't care about this. Okay, don't care about this. I don't think I care about any of this. Stop. We don't need to be in information gather mode right now. We'll information gather later. Okay. Wait, I just need to be theory crafting where we're going from here. Sorry. Okay. I shouldn't even watch these videos. We didn't need to.
Getting the facts. He just wanted the Department of Justice to put its...
Okay. 3 big emotional pulls. The Clark story is crazy. Everything relating to the story is crazy, and it's good. It hits emotional points. It wraps up some plot lines. This is a big one. The timeline, I think, is really important. The timeline accurately contextualizes all of Trump's tweets and implicates so many different moving parts and involves parties trying to get Trump to stop what's happening. Listening to that one Republican congressman talk about McCarthy's call with Trump, hearing the people chanting to hang Mike Pence, seeing the all the different text messages to Mark Meadows. This is a good one. Okay. I think there is a key emotional pull that I think is really important for conservatives and is really important for any center-right people and potentially center-ish people. Mainly for conservatives is I think that Pence's story is incredibly important. I think Pence is important because not just Pence, but other things can be implicated in here as well. The reason why January 6th ultimately failed was because of Republicans. Barr was a lifelong Republican, and he quit the DOJ. He resigned over lies. What about Rosen and Donahue? Do we know their parties? I mean, if Trump appointed them as the fucking AG and deputy AG, I'd imagine they were Republicans, right? Why am I just looking for Rosen? Fuck, what was his first name? Jeff? No, it's Jeff Clark. I can't spell these stupid fucking names. Donahue, attorney, general. Richard Donahue. Do we have a party? Political party, Republican. He was a Republican. Oh, it was Jeffrey Rosen and Jeff Clark. Was he a Republican? Political party, Republican. Okay. I think that every single person that like ultimately stood in the way of Trump and executing his plans effectively were Republicans. I think one of the things that hurts or is the hardest, that's true too, and Raffensperger as well. It's really hard to say like I'm going to vote for a Democrat if you're a Republican. Man, that's a really, really hard thing. That's a really hard thing to say. And it's hard not to support the Republican because it's like, fuck, do I really want to give up office for, 4 years? But I think having Pence as a big emotional pull, and there are so many good Pence, the emotional polls, Pence underground photos, Pence underground photos, Jacobs testimony, Pence not leaving, how close rioters get to Pence, the Goodman video. The rioters outside calling for his hanging. Trump encouraging violence against him after riot already begun. There's so many good hooks here on the Pence storyline. Pence storyline is a really good storyline, all the way up from November 3rd onwards. Like, yeah. Oh yeah, the Pence interview. Years later, about what was being asked. I think that I don't know why I decided to type all of this as caps lock, but did Pence ever publicly say the election had been stolen? I would be surprised if he did, but I haven't checked. Yeah. I need to get my 3 most emotional timelines. I feel like the story needs to be told in a there's a way to do a cast A, B, C, D plot story or whatever. This would be ABC plot story. There's a way to do when you're storyboarding out multiple plot lines. If you have if a traditional plot line is I think it's like inciting moment, and then it's like you build, and then you get your climax, and then your resolution. There's a way that when you're doing A plot, B plots, you are you're always kind of like building on one story, and then you cut to the next story, and then you build, and then you cut to the next, and you build, and you cut to the next, and you build, and you have all your climaxes coming all at the same time, all in your fucking mom's mouth. I feel like if I can structure a script some way like this, I don't know if these 3 different things I have to figure out some way to make that work. Right at the climax, we had a supercut of Trump calling his daughter hot. True. I don't know. I'll think of some way to combine this. How long is the video ideally? 30 minutes, I think, is the absolute cap. I think an hour is fine. An hour is so long. Do people watch that? Do people watch hour-long videos? Yeah, the thing is, if I start adding like video and audio, it just gets so much longer. I don't know. I'll figure this out. We'll think about it. I'll work on this tonight as well. Hold on one sec. I'll be back. Oh, okay. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else, any big points as I... It's going to be... Did I mention that, at least in real life, actually, I need this. This has to be like the thing that brings everything together somehow. I don't remember if I just talked about this or not. It feels like the hardest thing has always been to prove that like Trump knowingly lied. That's like a really big like pain point. But it feels like when you lay out stuff, people actually can see it pretty clearly. This needs to be more of a focus. I think I can incorporate some of those Dominion slides into here. There needs to be I don't know if this has happened yet, but there has to be video footage. There has to be a montage showing people breaking in and like people celebrating, and like interlaced with, or should they be playing concurrently? Hold on, I'm thinking. I can't do any video editing. No, I'm not downloading this and learning. This is not good. I can't do that much work. The climax of this piece, or what this would be the climax, it has to be J6. I feel like the climax is like playing videos of cops fighting with people outside with like speeches that had been made the day of, the day before, and like all of the radio shows and everything that we're covering it and talking about it leading up to it. Like, I think that has to be, because it just works so well. And then the coverage on the day of. This is in my brain. I'll figure this out. There's so much. I don't know if I'm gonna go through and watch full programs of that. The Steve Bannon show, The War Room or whatever, because Eastman and Giuliani and Roger Stone, like everybody makes appearances on this. I think literally the entire short video needs to be Trump's actions and electors. Normies don't really care about the rioters. I agree that normies don't care about the rioters generally, but I don't remember if this happened as much in the focus group. But in talking to people privately, if I can present everything and everybody understands all the steps that have happened up to January 6th, the rioting on January 6th hits way harder, because rather than it being a bunch of random people where things have just happened to go wrong, everything feels a lot more insidious and a lot more intentional. Especially the two big emotional points that I got afterwards were this. It was after watching everything that had happened, it was seeing the Donald Trump outtake And then it was listening to that voicemail from Rudy Giuliani's call, these are wild. If you followed along and if everything else has been presented coherently, and if after the whole day of rioting, right, Ashley Babbitt's shot and killed, people outside are chanting, to hang Mike Pence. You've got Pence in the basement saying, I don't want to leave. You've got Pelosi saying, like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, can't democracy, can America elect a president or whatever? You've got the recounting of McCarthy's conversation with the president and the swearing match that followed. For all of that to have transpired, and then to hear Giuliani
Senator Tuberville,
do this call.
Coach Tuberville, this is Rudy Giuliani, president's lawyer. I'm calling you because I want to discuss with you how they're trying to rush this hearing and how we need you, our Republican friends, to try to just slow it down so we can get these legislatures to get more information to you. And I know they're reconvening at 8 tonight. But the only strategy we can follow is to object to numerous states.
I think that for the people I've talked to in real life, that this Giuliani call sells the intent of Donald Trump during the insurrection harder than any other individual thing. This Giuliani phone call, dude, the fact that he misdialed and left his voicemail on the wrong number is so lucky, is such an unbelievable, hammer point of Jesus, at 7:02 he's making this call, really? And then Donald Trump does this speech the next day.
I'd like to begin by addressing
we can listen to a minute and a half of this.
the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders.
That's all a lie.
America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election, and emotions are high. But now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on June.
There's a cut here because he doesn't want to say that he lost the election. Now Congress has certified the results.
Faith and confidence.
He was supposed to say the election is over, and he doesn't want to say the election is over. He doesn't want to say the election is over. He just says that Congress certifies the results. And the fact that there is an outtake there is...
Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah,
certified.
right.
Now Congress
I
is
didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before.
It's so wild. It's these two, this clip and then the Giuliani voicemail thing are so good. Yeah, they're so good. Jesus. Yeah. Okay, what is this? Will you do another focus group after we cut the fat? Yeah, I'll probably, I might just do this all day tomorrow. We won't do anything exciting at all. Was that on the 7th? Yes. That was 24 hours later. Unreal. What I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to copy my entire document from here to another thing, and I'm just going to start deleting everything that I don't think is necessary. Same focus group or new people? Probably new people, since I've since I've worked with these guys so much. These guys were really nice also, by the way. The fact that everybody sat through that, and the Warren guy too coming, knowing that, one, obviously, his expectation should be that I'm going to be extremely hostile towards him. And then two, that everybody in that call is kind of my friend. The fact that he was willing to come on and do that for 7 hours was really good. And he's like, I don't even think he's like a big streamer of content. Like, he's not somebody who normally sits in front of the computer for like 7 hours. Are these notes anywhere? Yeah, I don't know why people get asked this. Destiny.gg/notes. Sometimes this will go into a folder later, but it's just January 6th insurrection. Everything from that thing is here. It's all here. All your links, all your bullshit. All my Wikipedia reading. Okay, wait, what was this in reference to? You can't make this up. I just got this voicemail to Rudy Giuliani, who apparently thought he was calling Senator Tuberville. You've got to listen to this message. Rudy is walking malpractice. Please, Robert, please remain in your current post until noon on January 20th. We need you there now more than ever. Jesus. Robert. Who's Robert? Who is he sending this to? Mike. Damn, that's a good picture. I'll be asking for more. Mike Lee is who's texting. Yeah, because Mike is the one who got the... Well, should just show it on whoever's... Hold on. Mike Lee's the one who he accidentally called when he was trying to get a hold of Tuberville. What the hell kind of name is Tuberville? I don't know. The name of a traitor. Fuck. So I bet they call out in the report somewhere, I bet, who he's talking to here, but... Oh yeah, I do need that quote. Probably Robert O'Brien, National Security Advisor. Oh. Lee then texted the then National Security Advisor, Robert O'Brien. Okay, I gotcha. Okay. All right. Imagine leaving voicemails implicating yourself criminally. Bro, it's not criminal. They just thought there was a voter fraud. Okay. There is a Bridges premiere that starts, I think, at 9, so I'm going to raid into them. I love you guys. Stay safe. Ripperino, cappuccino, poppuccino, hoppuccino, moppuccino, and I will see you tomorrow, okay? Be careful.